Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James and I run Freddie Fletcher Ltd. We're a same-day courier company and this is our storage unit where we store our customers' pallets. And you may be wondering to yourself, James, how did you get here? How did you end up with a courier company? How have you been running for the last 4.5 years? And I got asked that exact question. How did this all begin? Where were my roots in this industry? I'm going to tell you now. So let me tell you the story. I used to work for a courier company based in Warrington, right here where I am right now. And that courier company was owned and ran by none other than my dad. Not at the start. At the start, he was one of the directors, but there was also another 2 or 3 directors. Over time, they left, moved away, did what they wanted to do, sold their parts of the business. And he ended up with the lot of it. So where do I come in? Well, I used to go out in the trucks and in the vans with my dad and with my granddad when I was younger, before I could even drive myself. And then when I could drive, I was in college. Every now and then I'd go and I'd help out in a van or do something. And then when I when I went to university, I used to drive home every Friday, and 1 o'clock Saturday morning, I used to load a Sprinter, do Manchester City Centre, Leeds City Centre, Gateshead and Newcastle, delivering cupcakes overnight to shopping centres. And that's where it all started, whilst I was in uni. I was a driver at the weekends, and then any holidays I took from uni or whatever, I was driving full time. And when I came out of uni, I became a full-time driver. My degree, partial degree that I got because I never finished, I've got a partial engineering degree. Well, I have a diploma in engineering, and I could have sat 1 more year and got a degree in aeronautical mechanical engineering, but it just didn't seem to be going anywhere. The people I knew that were getting jobs weren't doing very well, and it didn't go anywhere for them. So I had this opportunity to become a full-time driver. I became a full-time driver. Over the years, I did a lot. Whatever that needed doing, and it was a pain in the ass, I'd do it. And I was doing about 120,000 miles a year. And then a couple of the directors left. My dad ended up in charge. And things actually went downhill from there. We had a fair few vans that were doing multi-drop out of the Ashton Line area for a paper and office supply distributor. And we lost that contract overnight. And we didn't see them vans very often because they were always there and then home with the driver and there. They were never at our office. And they were all battered. Absolutely battered. Time goes on and I work my way up to the office. I'm now working in the office, do still a little bit of driving, bit of time passes, it gets a lot quieter. I'm doing more driving again than office work. I'm doing pretty much all of it whilst he's got his feet up, with his flip-flops on and his shorts on, or he's on holiday. And then 2019 comes around and we actually get a brand new contract. And it was composite decking. Used to be absolutely loads of it stored outside. We used to come in 2 vans every single day, run up and down the country, and then we actually moved them into the warehouse next to our office, the other side of Warrington. And my job was in the early hours of the morning, normally around 4 o'clock, get in, open up the warehouse, offload an Arctic full of composite decking, 4-metre long boards, pallets and pallets of them, stack them, and then at that time we also took on a load of drivers, a load of furloughed workers that weren't working, came in, cash in hand, Dodge City. And we ended up with 14 vans. And I was ordering 14 vans every morning, getting them out, getting them going. And that was going on for, until April 2021. So obviously we'd had Freddie, me and Leanne, we bought our house, things were running smoothly. And me and Leanne were actually both in the office for a while whilst Leanne was on maternity. She came in and helped me out, brought Freddie in, gave it the opportunity for my dad to see him. And then a lot of things happened, a lot of things didn't seem right, a lot of things were going a bit weird, a bit wrong. And then we started looking more into figures and stuff, and nothing seemed to add up. And it was all just a bit all over the show. At that point, I'd been doing this for a while, and I knew We weren't charging enough. I knew how much we were paying the drivers. I knew how much it cost us a mile to run the sprinters and the crafters, etc., and the Lutons, and it wasn't adding up. Nothing was adding up. And then I started getting letters, and I just flagged them as nothing. Oh, it don't matter. Everything's fine, because obviously you're trusting your parents, and especially when they're your boss, you trust they're doing the right thing. Turned out I was very wrong, very, very wrong, and I was very much in the situation where I was being used and manipulated, is probably the best way to put it. And I didn't see it at first. Other people around me started seeing it. Wifey saw it. I dragged one of my best mates in to work with us whilst he was furloughed, and he ended up quitting and not speaking to me for nearly 2 years because of how the way he was treated. But I didn't see it because I had blinkers on. And then after quite a lot of arguments and quite a bit of a rough time, I listened, and I did the right thing. I listened to my wife. Life lesson, do that. And I looked more into my employment. And it turned out, well, simply, I wasn't employed. I hadn't been for 2 years, since April 2019. That's why I was getting letters from my mortgage provider asking what country I was a tax resident in, because I wasn't paying any taxes. Dear old dad had taken me off the books, made me unemployed, as well as the other employed drivers. So he didn't have to pay tax, national insurance, etc., etc. And then we looked further into it, and the company hadn't been filing its accounts properly. It had basically been filing as a dormant company, putting ones and zeros. I was raging, honest to God, probably the angriest I've ever been. But I had to calm down, because going in angry wasn't going to work. I had to calm down. Me and wife met up with some friends. We discussed it all. Everyone, apart from me, had the same ideology of how it would go. I had a completely different idea. And I walked in on the Monday morning, a few days later, weekend to calm down, etc. Did everything I'd normally do, got all the vans running, and then I sat down and he came in. And I asked him, straight up, calmly, asked him what was going on, why I wasn't employed, what was going on. He lied, blamed it on the accountant, lied, blamed it on Leanne, my wife, lied, told me I was a liar. In the end, because I wouldn't see things from his perspective or point of view, or I wouldn't listen to his bullshit anymore, he fired me and refused to pay me what he owed me. So I left. I walked out. I went home. I walked down the road. I had to get picked up because I had a company vehicle, and I left it. But I owned one of the vans. It was financed in my name. The accounts all came out of my account. I paid for it for the last few months because he wasn't paying for it, because he was putting it on me. Oh, you need this van, you need that. So I went and took the van. And that is how Freddie Fletcher Ltd started. It started with a 200,000 mile van, VW Crafter, my old one that you've all seen, which I went and took the sign writing off, stripped bare, and turned it into my own. And I also had significant debt because I wasn't being paid. He hadn't paid me. I was paying for the van, and he'd ran up credit card debt in my name for fuel bills, insurance bill. When you're running a fleet of 14 vans, your monthly insurance cost is excessive. My credit card knew about it. Freddie Fletcher Ltd started with no money in the bank. A 200,000 mile van, which I started in May. It broke down in June the first time, and then again in December. Neither of which were massively cheap fixes. One was a blown drive shaft, the next was a blown gearbox. And then I ran it obviously for another 200,000 miles after that, before it eventually blew its engine. And it died at 410,000 miles. And that's how the company started. I sold my motorbike. Leanne gave me a lot of inheritance money that she received from a passing of her nana. Leanne's mum and dad helped me out considerably along the way. And somehow, we managed to stay afloat with a lot of help. My grandparents helped as well, as best they could. A lot of things were ruined because of what happened, including mine and Leanne's wedding. Our wedding plans completely changed. Bob, my father-in-law, lost a couple of £1,000 because of everything that happened. Not his fault. It's due to my side, and I'm obviously very sorry about that to everyone that lost money, including my wife. I probably still need to pay her back. It's a lot of money. But yeah, now 4 years on, we're still running. We're actually doing all right. We are straight again. We are making decent money now. And that's how the company started. Literally 2 days after I got fired, I created Freddie Fletcher Ltd. Legally, did everything in 1 day. Company's house, HMRC, VAT, everything. I sorted everything out before I started running. And then I waited because, why did I wait? I was sorting the insurance out. I was waiting for a bit of money to come in so I could fuel the van up and stuff like that. The day after my birthday, on the 5th of May, we did our first job. And that was actually for one of the biggest customers we have now, whose stock is right here. And that is actually another story completely, because a few weeks, well, probably like a few months actually, before I left, well, before I got fired from the old company, I got a phone call of a family member of mine, my uncle on my mum's side, and he said, oh, we use, can you beat their prices? Because they're ripping us off a little bit at the minute, and the prices seem excessive. And I went through it all, and we were significantly cheaper back at the old company. Obviously, when everything happened, I told everyone, and he came to me and said, fill this form in, I'll get you put on our suppliers list. I can give you 1 job a day and just keep you busy. And that's what he did for about 18 months. He gave me 1 job a day, whenever he could, and kept me busy. And then eventually, and he gave everything to the old company, even though they were running illegally, etc. But whatever. And eventually, I took everything because they've gone into liquidation, compulsory liquidation, because they weren't filing accounts, obviously. And now they're in a significant amount of debt. They've had all the vans taken off them in January 2024, I think it was, for non-payment from a lovely guy who I've met a few times because I was picking vans up and stuff. I didn't realise he wasn't being paid. He was trying to help as well. And if you ever meet my dad, stay away. That is the best warning I could ever give anyone. Everybody will describe him the same way. He's a charming, nice, kind person. But that's how he manipulates people. And that's how he's done it to a lot of people. I had drivers coming to me saying, your dad owes me this, your dad owes me that. There's nothing I can do. I don't speak to him. I don't have anything to do with him. I haven't done for the last 4.5 years. If I saw him, I'd tell him to F off, because that's exactly what I did a few months ago when I saw him. Honestly, I don't want anything to do with him ever again. When everything happened, there was a lot of lies being spread, and a lot of rumours being spread about me and Leanne. And that meant that his entire side of the family don't speak to us anymore. They're just like, bye. You don't want to listen to all this illegal bullshit? You don't want to listen to do what you're told? No. And that's one of the reasons of our wedding getting cancelled. We did get married. We just got married in the registry office during COVID because we wanted to get married. We wanted to be together forever, and we will be. Being a courier was my 3rd ever job, and it's still my job. And it's been, how old am I now? It's been 15 years. I've been doing this. And even longer, I was over there. I was getting in 7.5 ton trucks that were falling apart. I was getting in old sprinters just over there. And I was going out with my dad, with my granddad, with other drivers as a second man, helping out when I was young. That is it, really. Freddie Fletcher Ltd is going to be a growing success. My aim is to be 5 million% better than they ever were. The amount of stupid crap I saw over there, customers getting ripped off, drivers being used and abused. That's why I do my best to make sure all the drivers are well looked after, make sure my customers are looked after, make sure I go above and beyond for everyone. If anyone ever thinks I'm stupid because I pay people what they should be paid, I could put all the jobs on the CX and make loads more money. It's not about that. It's not about just making loads of money. Yes, I'm making money. Yes, I'm making a living. But I also want to look after the people that are helping me do it. I'm not trying to rip everyone off. I'm trying to do the right thing. Freddie Fletcher Ltd is trying to do the right thing. Also, if you're ever wondering why I'm called the company Freddie Fletcher Ltd, but my name is James Fletcher, it's because I had a 6-month-old baby and my brain wasn't working because of everything that had happened, and finally seeing the light in a situation like that. And the 2 people in front of me were my wife, well, my wife-to-be, and my son, and I named it after my son. And that's how it'll stay. Thank you all for watching. I hope that explains where Freddie Fletcher Ltd came from. There is a bigger, much bigger story. There's loads of things I've missed out. It is mental. I've told a few people, including Anvil Logistics, Dave, this story, not even in its entirety, and it is mad. Why would somebody who brought you into the world and supposed to look after you use, abuse, and absolutely destroy your credit rating for their gain, for their holidays, for their vans, for their Mercedes-Benz? Because that was in my name too. Thank you all for watching. I can subscribe. Bye-bye.